What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on Keeping It Real with Credit live session, live and direct. Um, every week. I know before we were talking about making it every Wednesday, but for the most part, I'm trying to be as more consistent with the lives. This way, I can answer more of you guys' questions as you guys are tuning in. So, welcome, everybody. Those of you guys that are tuning in, thank you for joining Keeping It Real with Credit. I'm your host, Ray from Keeping It Real. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. Please consider subscribing because on this channel, we talk about anything and everything regarding credit, personal finance, tips and tricks, real estate, you name it. You're definitely going to find it over here. And so, guys, I encourage you guys to go ahead and feel free to post your questions on here so I can answer them for you. And I kind of want to go ahead and touch base on a few things. So once again, guys, we're pushing out this free credit evaluation. Keeping It Real with Credit has transitioned over into what's called now ScoreShield Financial Group. We're a full service credit restoration company specializing in just that, credit restoration. So if you're an individual that's looking to get your next car, your next home, your credit needs a little help, you're brand new to credit, we can definitely help you out with that. And what we specialize in is getting these negative accounts removed or negative items removed from your credit report, which as a result will increase your credit score, right? And obviously it depends on a few other things, but it's definitely something that we can do. Stanley Stidham, thank you so much for joining us and posting the first question of the day. And he asked, do we dispute ChexSystems? Absolutely, we do dispute ChexSystems. For those of you guys that don't know what ChexSystems is kind of like a behind the scenes system or database, if you will. Like, for example, if let's say you was with Regions Bank, if you will, maybe you overdrafted with them, never paid them back or whatnot, they'll report you to what's called ChexSystems. And so when you go to another bank, let's say to open up another bank account, they possibly may not approve you to open up a bank account because you have something in ChexSystems. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that ChexSystems has to go under the same rules and regulations as Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, right? Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So because it's subject to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, we're able to dispute something. And also everything is also subject to the FCRA, which states that if something's unverifiable, inaccurate, or incomplete, it must be corrected or removed, right? And so when those items get removed, it gets removed from ChexSystems, and when you open up a bank account, it doesn't appear on there or it doesn't appear at all. So something definitely to go ahead and keep in mind. Now, with that being said, guys, few things. In the link in the description below, you're going to find the link, the very first link that says to schedule your free credit evaluation. And that link is going to take you over to my website, in which you're going to put in your information. And then I'll go ahead and text you. You're going to get a text from my number and with the link to schedule your next appointment. And then that appointment for 20 minutes, you'll be able to speak with me or one of my credit analysts over here that's going to go ahead and break down your credit report and identify those items that are negatively impacting your score and let you know what can be done, right, from our end or from your end. The evaluation is free. And with that being said, it's definitely something that you should take advantage of just to get us some better insight, right? We're starting the year. We're still in January, so we have plenty of time to go ahead and get the information now to plan out the next 12 months, again, for whatever it is that you guys want to go ahead and get into. Also, if you want, you can call us now, 1-888-424-0058, option number 1. If you see, I'm already plugging in the link to schedule an appointment and also the phone number for you guys to call right now as we speak. So with that being said, let's get on to some questions. Mike Amato, how you doing, man? I've had a couple really bad years that torched my credit, and now things are going good. I want to get my credit back. Awesome, Mike. We can definitely take a look at what's on your credit report and guide you, point you in the right direction as to what we can do or what you can do on your own. Cool thing is that you take home a very detailed analysis that gives you that insight. So, Mike Amato, thank you so much for tuning in for that. Israel Tyndall, had I known about this, I would have asked for those services. Israel, you're referring to the ChexSystems. I know we don't talk much about ChexSystems and stuff like that. It's very rare that comes about. But for the most part, it is subject to the FCRA and all that good stuff. So definitely something to take note of that. Now, last video I posted up. Thank you so much for the love of that. We was talking about Experian Boost and Ultra FICO, and I think that Ultra FICO and Experian Boost can definitely help out a lot of people. I'm glad that they rolled out with that, because again, there's a lot of other factors that are not taken into consideration when it comes to the worthiness of paying things back on time every time, right? Because again, credit is the ability to make payments over time, on time, every time, right? And so with that being said, we want to make sure that the banks should have all the information that they need to really determine whether we can pay back on time, right? And so why not take in consideration things like your cell phone bill, cable bill, light bill, utility bills, things that we need to pay anyways. If those can increase our chances of getting approved or saving some money in the long run, why not, right? So I'm glad that they're doing that. Now, a lot of you were asking as to how we can possibly include rental payments within our credit report. Now, there's a few companies out there, one of which where I think is called Rental Karma. And I think either your landlord or you can submit into this, and they report to, I think, just one credit bureau or two credit bureaus. I would suggest just go ahead and Google them. I haven't researched them here in quite some time, but I know that can be included up there up to 2 years worth. So again, these are little things that could start you off on a great note, especially if you're starting off with credit just in general. Now a little bit to what we do over here, guys, and again, just to break down what the evaluation consists of. And again, please ask me questions if you will, but I like to explain our service here for the most part, because a lot of people are under the impression, right, that in order to remove a negative item, you simply have to state that it doesn't belong to you. And that's simply not the case, right? We follow a specific set of rules and regulations that are afforded to us and are designed, right, to protect us as consumers. And what I usually tell everybody is that one of the acts that truly are designed, right, to protect us as consumers is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And the Fair Credit Reporting Act was created to promote the fairness and the accuracy of the information currently being reported on your credit report. Because of this act, this gives us the opportunity to be able to challenge and or dispute any of the information that's on your credit report. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's on your credit report, it can be removed, it can be deleted, it can be corrected, or whatever it is that you're trying to do with it. And just to take you guys back a little bit, in 2013, when I got out the Marine Corps, and I fell into that tough credit situation, I actually looked into a few things, and as I was doing my research and kind of in reality practicing against my own credit report, I found that if your name, right, the name is very important. I think is one of the most important things, because it can really change. It's a game changer when it comes to what's on your credit report, especially if you have collections and things like that. And so if on your social security card, if your name is not spelled on your credit report the way it's written on your social, then guess what? Technically, that is not your name. And so for a lot of people out there, especially Hispanics that have a second last name or a middle name or whatnot, sometimes we don't sign off with that name, right? But on paper, on documentation, the way that your name is spelled out really matters, right? Because that is you. So if, for example, your name is misspelled on your credit report, if it doesn't include a middle name when it should, a middle initial when it should, a second last name when it should, if that's on there, that means that the accounts reporting below under it has that same information, including the negative ones. And so when we initiate a dispute, we dispute against the personal information. Please believe. And that right there, that's why we're known to get the biggest results in the shortest amount of time, especially in the first 30 to 60 days, just off of disputing the way that the name appears on a credit report. Not only the name, but the address, right? The address, the name, previous employer, AKAs, and things like that of that nature. And it's crazy to me that even nowadays, every time you report the same information to all three credit bureaus, it still somehow, some way gets misinterpreted and input into your credit report incorrectly. And like I say all the time, guys, the FTC, it's just crazy to me. And sit down and really think about that. The FTC did a study and they found that 1 out of every 5 Americans in the US have an error on their credit report large enough to cause them to pay a higher interest rate than they should, or cause them to be denied when they should have been approved. Yes, guys, think about that. You could be paying a higher interest rate on a credit card, on a loan, on a mortgage, or whatever it is. You could be paying a higher interest rate just based on a discrepancy within your credit report. Think about that. So it's these things that we need to be made aware of and ensure that we have things like credit monitoring or constantly checking our credit reports obsessively, if you will, if we're planning to use it in the long run, because that can end up costing you a lot of unnecessary money. And so that's something to definitely think about. How is your name spelled? How is is your numbers on there? Is your address on there? And things of that nature. And now when looking at a credit report within the accounts itself, we want to make sure that all 3 credit bureaus, if you have one of these credit reports that have them side by side, you want to look at these account numbers. You want to look at your payment history patterns. You want to look at what the notes are including, what balances are reporting, what amounts owed, whether it's current or not. I've seen credit reports where one credit bureau has an account as current and paid, and the next credit bureau has that account as negative with a bunch of late payments. So and they're receiving all the information from one company. So these are things that we got to look at, because it makes the difference between either getting approved or not, or paying a higher interest rate than what you're supposed to or not, right? This is where we come in. This is where we really specialize in, and really looking at a credit report and really dissecting everything piece by piece, identifying the negative items, and then triggering a very aggressive, very aggressive, I guess you could say, disputing campaign against all the negative information that's being reported out there to the credit bureaus. And not only that, holding the credit bureaus, banks, or collection agencies accountable to the 30-day time frame, to what it is that we're asking for specifically, and making sure that we're studying and being up to date as to the rules and regulations that are afforded to us, by the government, right? And we should leverage that on a day-to-day basis. So let me touch up on a few things with you guys here. Jen Montenegro. Hey, how you doing, Jen? Is there anything I can do about my student loan? About your student loans. If you're referring to getting these accounts removed from a credit report, yeah, you could definitely do something about that. But you just keep in mind that on the back end, student loans, because they're guaranteed by the government, will never go away. But because of that, there's a bunch of affordable programs, very affordable programs that you could take advantage of, that are not only knock down the debt, but in turn will be able to help you reverse those late payments in general. But us here as a company, we have removed tons of student loans. And as a matter of fact, we've reversed tons of late payments into positive payments, like you've never missed a payment. If you don't know, 35% of your score has to do with payment history. So that makes a tremendous difference and a score increase when it comes to your student loans. A credit score in general overall. All right, Jen. So hopefully that answers your question. VC, how you doing, man, or woman? What credit monitoring company would you recommend? So as far as a credit monitoring company, there's a bunch of them out there. There's obviously some people, some that are more popular than others. But for the most part, I recommend, especially to all my clients here, either Identity IQ or FICO. And I can include a link if you guys want on there. For the most part, a credit monitoring system is going to cost around $20, depending on the level of protection. But you also have MyFICO, right, created by the people that made the Fair Isaac Corporation or whatnot. But they're very expensive, right? They're a little bit more expensive. And for what it's worth, I think I personally have Identity IQ and Privacy Guard. And what I love about Identity IQ, I'm sorry, which is really what I've had for a while now. What I love about them is that they have identity theft protection. They're very instant on the alerts that they give out. They have all the information that you need. And what I love about it is that they actually have a department that if you lose your cards, um, they have a department that'll cancel and order new cards for you. They're really big on protection, especially of your identity. And when it comes to credit, is crucial, right? You never know. Even if you're very careful about it, you can never be too careful, right? And so having something like that can definitely help you out here in the long run. So something to keep in mind. So hopefully that answers your questions. Ronald, I have a 640 and I have been pre-approved for my home loan. Awesome, man. Congrats. Should I freeze my credit until I close on a home? I don't think you should. I think if anything, you shouldn't apply for anything. That's usually the process, right? Until everything's finalized, don't apply for anything. Don't spend on credit cards or anything else. So don't do any of that. But congratulations, Ronald. Jules Aquino, you keep it so real. Thank you. Thanks for all your help with my credit. Awesome. I'm glad we can help. Jen Montenegro, you're welcome. Hopefully that answers your questions on there. Davey Grimstein. Yeah, I have an old credit card that was maxed out when I was younger. 7 years would be 2021. Should I wait? I've tried disputing, but to no end, it hasn't been on my side. So, Davey, is this credit card still open? If it's not and closed, then maybe it sounds like it's in a collection status. Let me see here. It sounds like in a collection status. If it is, then again, you want to be able to respond and communicate right away, right? But other than that, if it's still open, I would advise paying that credit card down. Oh, it's in collections. I see that on there. Okay, so if it's in collections, remember you're dealing with a third-party collector. Disputing an item doesn't mean that you're saying it doesn't belong to you or not. You're just going through the steps of the process, given the fact that it's been transferred over. You see, I learned this from a consumer attorney friend of mine, that, and I wanted to ask, what really happens when, how do you actually protect a consumer, or what is your angle when you go over there? And he was explaining to me that it's not enough for them to just prove that you owe the debt, but they have to prove that they own the debt, right? So the collection agency not only has to prove that you owe the debt, but they have to prove that you own the debt. And that's something very important, right? So think about that. Think about how an attorney goes in there and protects its client, right? Against a collection agency. See, what the collection agencies hate is when attorneys ask for the bill of sale, right? Or the title, if you will, of the debt that they bought from, let's say, the credit card company you're referring to. And the reason they don't like to provide that is because, well, if you're proving that you owe the debt, they have to prove that they own the debt. If they own the debt, then we can confirm and validate that they're the people that we have to deal with, right? But what they don't like showing is the terms and condition between the collection agency and the bank selling the debt selling over. And there's usually a clause in the terms of agreement or whatnot that's telling the collection agency, well, you're buying this as is, right? There's an as is, that you're to an understanding that you may or may not have all the information you need to collect on this account. Does that make sense? And so they treat this like it's a secret recipe. Oh, we don't have that, or we don't want to show that, because most of the time, actually the attorney of mine that I was referring to, he said that in all his years of practicing, he's never been, collection agencies don't like providing that, and they always lose once they do, right? Because it's those things. So think about that, right? When a collection agency is calling you, there's a high probability that they bought that debt from the original creditor, in this case, the bank, right? And so we're actually saying, well, am I dealing with the right people? Because nowadays, there's a lot of scams and crazy stuff going on, and a lot of personal information, and any random person can just call you and be like, hey, so-and-so, I see here that you owe T-Mobile. I'm actually the company collecting upon it, right? You don't know that. They could easily get access to your credit report and tell you that on the other end, and you're going to believe them because they have all your information in front of you. So in reality, it's kind of like a security check, right? We want to make sure that both parties are made aware as to, okay, you have all your ducks in a row, prove it to me, right? And if in 30 days you can't, then I'm not going to pay anybody that cannot prove to me within a reasonable time frame that I owe the debt, because I know that you possibly bought the debt, but you possibly bought the debt and maybe not the information, right? And so we want to make sure that we're not only dealing with the right people. I'm not saying to shy away from your debts. You want to make sure that if you fork out a specific amount of money, that you're dealing with the right people. And on top of that, keep in mind that paying a collection account will not remove it from your credit report unless you negotiate a payment for delete, right? Which you should get in writing first from the collection agency. So if you don't pay it as bad, and if you do pay it as bad, why not do our due diligence, right? To not only make sure we're dealing with the right company, with the right people, and how we're gonna analyze and how is our situation gonna look after I pay this debt, right? If I'm looking to leverage my credit in a short term, then paying off that account may not be smart, right? Because it's gonna hold you back. Maybe negotiating a payment for delete will, or disputing the item where the probabilities of getting that removed is high because of the lack of information that they're not able to provide, if that makes sense, guys, right? And so that right there is something to kind of keep in mind, right? Maybe some more insight to how the mentality, the mindset, or the reason behind disputing something anyways, even if it's with a collection agency. Kevin Baker, can you reestablish a revolving account that has been closed and charged off with a goodwill letter? That's to the discretion of the bank. I know Capital One, for example, may be very forgiving. I've had clients that have messed up with them before, and then years later they approve them. But I think ultimately it's to the discretion of the bank if they want to go ahead and give you a second chance or not. All right. David Wade, I was able to refinance a mortgage and get a rate of 2.625%. Now suddenly TransUnion and Equifax are reporting March of 2018 and March and April 2018 as late. Wells Fargo says they are not late. What the hell? So David, I would suggest you talking with Wells Fargo and getting a letter, something by them saying that you have never been late, and then send that off to the credit bureaus. That right there in itself should be able to reverse those late payments. But do it, because again, I'm pretty sure that probably killed your score there. All right. JC, is it really possible to get a credit with no personal guarantee? Is that what you're referring to, JC? Please clarify for me. Let me see. Malls, how you doing, man? How can I fix my 450 credit score? Well, first thing is to do an evaluation, whether you want to do it yourself or you want to hire one of our team members to go ahead and do it, but the evaluation is free. Once again, guys, schedule your evaluation in the link in the description, or give us a call now at 1-888-424-0058. Again, that's 1-888-424-0058 to call one of my credit analysts and get that evaluation done. And guys, I may do an evaluation here on camera live pretty soon. Let me know what you guys think about that. I kind of want to walk you through a process, and hopefully that'll give you some more insight as to some credit information, and also give you a perspective, right, as to what you can anticipate if you evaluate. So hopefully that goes with that. Armando Zayas, what to do if you're being sued for $600 from a credit card debt? If you're being sued and you got summons, I would suggest you contact your local consumer attorney and let them know right away. You do not want to ignore summons, because if you do, it automatically you'll lose automatically, and the favor will go to the credit card company. Then you're kind of stuck, right? So definitely something you want to be able to respond right away. King Arthur, if you ask for a contract with your signature on it, and they don't provide it, what should you do next? Well, part of disputing that, if you're asking for that, then you should request for that to be removed from your credit report, right? But again, there's other technicalities behind that. But if they can't provide a contract with your name and signature on it, then who's to say, right? If they can't provide it, prove it or remove it, right? It's something that we like to say around here. Jackie Gray, I had a collection removed in November by disputing. Another company has put the same collection back on the report. It isn't even mine, but is my son's. He's a junior. His address now appears on the report. So Jackie, perfect. If it appears, it's known to happen. Not often, but it's known to happen where, again, the previous collection agency sold it off to a new one, and now it's generated a new credit report or whatever the case may be, and it reappeared again. And so I would suggest going ahead and disputing that in the same manner. If it doesn't get removed, then you can put that in violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And I would suggest either hiring us to look into that, or contact a consumer attorney, because you may be subject to some awards, right? Because obviously that's not you. And again, Jackie, if you don't mind me asking, what are you including in the dispute that you're sending, right? What documents? I'd love to hear that. That's a little quick test question. In your dispute letters, what are you including in that envelope? Let me know in the question on the chat here. JC, no personal guarantee business credit. Okay, so is it possible to get credit with no personal guarantee? It is possible, and it can go against your business EIN. Yes, guys, you can call now, 1-888-424-0058. My whole team is literally behind this glass, standing by for your call. So I'm doing the video now, but please go ahead and call in 1-888-424-0058. Also, in the link in the description below is the phone number and the link to go ahead and schedule your evaluation. So feel free to call us now. Without personal guarantee, so you can get credit, right? It can be attached to your LLC, like your EIN number. But banks or lenders that use that, they want to see at least a year in business. They don't want to see any, they don't want to have like a negative balance, maybe no chargebacks. There's certain requirements, right? But it is possible. It is possible to get on there. And typically, sometimes as a business, you want to build your way up to that with net 30 accounts, net 120 accounts, with Office Depot, for example. And these things where you have to pay within that specific time frame after, a certain amount. So that's usually great. But when you're starting off as a company, just keep in mind that your personal credit is going to be required, because if your business fails for whatever reason, they want somebody to be liable, right? And that's pretty understandable when it comes to that. Ellen Richmond, your thoughts, please. What auto bill pay on credit card payments? Thank you. My thoughts on auto bill pay on credit card payments. I think it's a great thing, especially if you're busy. At the very least, the way that I have mine set up on all my credit cards, I always have automatic payments set to whatever the minimum is, right? Just in case, for whatever crazy reason I forget, at least the bare minimum gets paid. But typically I make it a habit, like I've mentioned in other videos before, where I go ahead and pay off all my credit cards all at once on a month-to-month basis, right? One, because it doesn't charge me interest. And two, I don't consider a credit card as a bill payment. I consider it as a transfer. Just like you would transfer from a checking to a savings, I transfer from a checking to my credit card, right? Because the money is available right away. You're not losing anything. And if you pay your balances in full, then you're not getting charged interest. And what a lot of people make a mistake of is, one, and it's a mindset thing, right? A lot of people make the mistake of considering a credit card a bill. And the reason why you consider a bill possibly is because you're getting money from your job, right, into your debit card, and then you're assigning your debit card all your monthly expenses, your gas, your light, water, cable, car insurance, Netflix, whatever the case may be. Everything is attached to that debit card, right? And then on top of that, your credit card payment is also attached to the debit card. when instead you should be assigning all those bills to your credit card. You see what I'm trying to say? And then transferring money from your checking to your credit card on a month-to-month basis, ensuring that you're not passing more than 30% of what your limit is. Whatever your limit is, divide by 3 and never, ever, ever pass that. If that makes sense, let me know. And I do that very, differently. So what you guys know, for example, Capital One, if you pay your balances in full, they do not charge you interest. So if you owe $500, transfer $500 and it's available right away. You didn't lose it. And so credit card companies, however, the way they make money is by charging you interest. All right. So if they charge you interest, if you're paying the balance in full, you're not getting charged. They're not making money. And so what happens is over time is, hey, congratulations, so-and-so. We're increasing your credit limit. That's obviously great for you as the consumer because 30% of your credit, which is the second biggest factor, has to do with the availability of credit. Your score will go up if they do increase your credit limit. But from the bank's perspective, what they're trying to do is to get you stuck to the point where you're not able to pay your balance in full. Because if you're not able to pay your balance in full and maybe less than the full payment, then now they can charge you interest. And then that's how they make money. So it's kind of like a win-win there when it comes to that. JB, and I'm just trying to catch up with some questions here. JB, what do you recommend for people who are trying to save up money? What I recommend, JB, is to have a plan. Have a plan in place when it comes to saving money. And have a strategy in place, right? What is it that you're trying to do with this money, right? Because keep in mind that money sitting in a savings account is trash. It doesn't do anything unless you put it to good use, right? So I would say keep stacking your money over time, but as simultaneously, you want to be researching on where you can invest that money, right? This is where you and patiently, right? Don't be in a rush for things. Learn about real estate. Learn about opening up a business. Learn about things like Amazon, for example. Learn about reselling, right? Learn about eBay. Learn about go to Craigslist and go where it says free stuff and pick up a free stuff and then open up a big garage sale at your home and start making money that way, right? There's a bunch of things you can do. There's a bunch of ways where you can invest $100, $1,000, $2,000, whatever the case may be. There's a bunch of ways to do it. That's what I would suggest. Don't save up money for the purposes of just saving money. That's not fun, at least not for me. Jackie Gray, I'm just saying it isn't mine, and that has been removed already. But Jackie, what documentation you're included in there, right? And how if that's what your letter says, then we want a little bit more emphasis on that. And Jackie, give us a call if you want more help with that. Again, 1-888-424-0058, option number 1. King Arthur, should you ask for sensitive documents like deed of assignment and your dispute, or would that give them more preparation to sue you later? I don't think that's necessary, but you could ask for it. I think with the contract, with the agreement, might be sufficient. Miles, should I use Credit Karma? I think everybody should use Credit Karma, right? But just keep it because it's free. But keep in mind that Credit Karma does not give you all 3 reports. And the score that you see on Credit Karma is a Vantage score. And not very many banks or companies are using Vantage scores to approve you on credit. So don't go based on what that score is, right? But if your score does jump up there, then there's a probability that in general your score went up because of a certain reason, right? That's on your credit report. And so if you're serious about monitoring your credit and you're anticipating a big purchase, then go ahead and invest in a good credit monitoring service. And I recommend Identity IQ. All right. Tico Blaine, how can I get 2 paid collections off my report? If I've disputed 2 times with a goodwill letter, they still remain. Any advice? That's not good. You don't send a goodwill letter after that. We would have to look at the specifics, how long it's been there. Tigo, I have removed paid collections off before, but it's just been a lot of, again, a lot of technicality. This is why I always push the free evaluation, right? Give us a call, Tigo, 1-888-424-0058, option number 1. Davey, I like that outlook. Perfect sense. I'm doing that. Cool, Davey. Thank you so much for that. JB, thank you. You're welcome, brother. Stanley Stidham, JB, credit is no king. As long as you have credit, you're going to always have money, good credit. Yep, definitely. And so, guys, you want to keep in mind that you want to have a plan in place, right? You want to have a strategy when it comes to that, especially when it comes to saving money. And credit is a great tool for that, right? And I always say credit shouldn't just be to get your next car, to get your next home. You should be able to leverage credit, right? Using other people's money to generate income for yourself, right? Or using your earned income, right? The income you're generating from your job to be able to place it strategic places where that money is going to bring you back more money, right? Don't just go to work and pay bills and that's it, right? You want to be able to look forward to something. So if that requires you cutting back for whatever the case may be, then that's what you got to do. But you have to have a plan in place. Put a goal. Set your stuff out. Get yourself situated out there. Where are you based out of? Guys, we're located in Miami, Florida, but we do service nationwide. We have clients out in Alaska, Puerto Rico, you name it. We service nationwide. And the beautiful thing about that, guys, if you're wondering, you guys don't have to physically be here. We provide you with an online portal that you'll be able to log in 24/7 and see exactly what my team is here doing for you. So full transparent program. Everything is sent by certified mail. Everything that we send out has tracking numbers. Everything that we do is verifiable, accurate, and complete. We look at everything and we communicate every 15 to 30 days. And if anything, we over communicate. So guys, keep that in mind. Take advantage of the free credit evaluation. Get your new year started right, at least with some knowledge on what you could do with your credit and on the next steps. So with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for the love and support. Like, comment, subscribe, share with family and friends. And I'll see you on the next episode on Keeping It Real with Credit. Peace. Take advantage of the evaluation. Link in the description below. Or you could give us a call at 1-888-424-0058. Option number 1. We're standing by right now as we speak. Thanks, guys. 00. Yes, we do work for bankruptcy. Thank you. We do work with bankruptcies. Please give us a call. We can remove that for you. Give us a call. And looking forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks, guys.